Good evening, everybody. I'm Derek Michaud. It's time to go flush in the pocket. Once again, presented by Brunswick, sponsored by Just in Time Recreation. Check them out at justintimebowl.com. And hopefully, everybody is having a very nice Tuesday evening. And on this episode, we have one of the best bowlers ever. I don't know where he ranked in the top 50, but he's number one in our hearts. 14-time PBA titleist, including 3 U.S. Opens. He's won in Vegas. He's won at the Memorial World Open in Chicago. Dave Husted, 14-time PBA champion, PBA Hall of Famer. How are you, sir?
Derek, I'm doing great. How about yourself? Happy New
I'm
Year.
doing very well. I'm very honored to have you do this. And Mr. Carr says, hello. I'm sorry, I do not know how to pronounce your first name. I do apologize, but thank you for watching. And I guess we'll get right into it. How did you start bowling?
Well, my family's been in the bowling business since 1957. So my dad and granddad built Milwaukee Bowl in 1957. And I was born in 1960, and I think I started bowling in 62 or 3 when I was just a little guy. So I've basically been in the bowling business all my life.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so you're in Milwaukee, Oregon. Is that correct?
Correct. Just a little south of Portland.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So who coached you? Was it your dad that coached you?
Yeah. But starting out, my dad, he taught me the fundamentals, and he worked with me. He was a really good bowler himself in his days. So he was drafted into the NBL, the National Bowling League, when they had that for a short period of time. So he bowled with a lot of the top shooters around in the country. But my dad was until I went on tour. And then when I went on tour, I worked with a guy named John Jowdy, who was sales rep for Columbia 300 for years. So that was it.
Yep. And if you don't mind me asking, is Champ still around?
He is. My dad's 92.
Wow.
He's doing well. We love him dearly, and he's doing well. His health is good, so we're very blessed in that fact.
Excellent.
Yep.
And Adam Lemarese is a big PBA super fan from North Carolina. Says Happy New Year to me and you as well. He says he loved watching you bowl on ABC Sports, and that was actually when I first saw you bowl was the 92 Flagship Open.
Oh, in Erie. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a great place to bowl. It's one of our favorite stops. The fans went nuts there, and the folks did a great job of promoting that event. The home of Ron Palumbi and Bobby Learn. It was a great place to bowl.
Yep. And I mean, you lit it up that day. I mean, until the title match. But why was your look so good that day, do you think?
Oh boy, it's hard to tell. I mean, it just, every once in a while you just get into a nice groove and you perform well and everything matches up for you. Lane conditions, equipment, choices you made. I was very fortunate to have really good ball reps also, and I worked for Columbia for many years, and just kind of from what I remember, it was just kind of a track shot. The lanes played really good for me, and I was just in good stroke that week.
There you go.
Yep.
Kamari Carr wants to know. He says he saw the 82 U.S. Open, which I believe was your first title.
Yep.
He says, was that you that clipped the 10? Or got that messenger to clip the 10? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that was a weird thing, Derek. My parents were there, and my wife, Michelle, and I told my dad during practice, I said, man, Dad, this is just like bowling at home. I have a great shot, and I don't think anybody else on the pair does. And that's basically what happened. I had a great shot on the pair, and nobody else really did. So kind of something you dream about. It just happened to be for the U.S. Open too. But I was very fortunate. I got by Charlie Tapp and Frank Ellenberg, and then I bowled Earl in the semifinals and got by Earl. And I beat Gilly Sliker for the title, but that was one of those things. It was be my first title, and nobody really. Earl bowled a pretty good game, but I had the shot, and nobody else had anything. So I was just very fortunate.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what, guys? That might be a trivia question. So Gilly Sliger is who he beat to win his first title. So hang on to that information. We're gonna get into a lot of it, but just out of curiosity, has your back healed up from the '95 U.S. Open when you slipped or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Now, what happened there was I just had a muscle spasm. Things got really tight for a while. My back's been fine. I have a little bit of a knee issue now, but it's still not that bad either. But yeah, my back is fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
We are going to answer some questions from the audience probably halfway through these, but what did you accomplish in your bowling life that made you say, okay, I'm going to try the tour. I might be successful. I don't know if I'm going to be in the Hall of Fame. I could be successful, but I'm going to try the tour. What did you do?
Well, I was probably one of the most underqualified people to ever try the tour. I didn't bowl I turned professional when I was 18. I didn't really bowl that many tournaments at home. But the thing that got me was the fourth tournament I bowled in, I finished fourth in Tucson. And that kind of hooked me. I figured, I know everything worked out good for me here. The lanes were fairly easy. It was fairly high scoring, that kind of thing. But I just felt like, maybe I can do this. So we came up with a plan. I was going to try it for a couple of years and see what happened. And the rest is kind of history. I just kept at it and things went pretty well for me.
14 titles later and 3 majors, or I'm sorry, is it 3 majors?
Well, I kind of consider it 3. I know, depending on who you talk to, they call the TPC a major now, and some people call the World Open a major, but to me, it's 3 with the 3 U.S. Opens.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is your podcast, so you're the one. You're who matters. So, what would you say is your best moment on tour?
Oh, best moment on tour. That's a good question. It would have to it'd be hard to beat that first title in the U.S. Open when I had my mom and dad there and my brother. My sister was not there, but my brother was, and of course my wife Michelle. But that memory there of winning, my first one on ABC, plus my dad especially being there, that was very special.
Yeah. And big shout out to Michelle for helping us make this possible.
Yep.
What would you say was your worst moment on tour?
Oh boy, there's lots of ups and downs on the tour life. There's times where you kind of go through little slumps or mini slumps where, you kind of get a little negative thoughts going and you don't think like, man, maybe I didn't make the right decision here. I didn't really have one that just flat out stood out, but you start doubting yourself sometimes when things aren't going well for a few weeks and not bowling well. But I was fortunate I didn't have a whole lot of downtime. I was fortunate enough to be fairly consistent over my career, and I was able to limit some of those mini slumps and things. So I really didn't have anything that was heartbreaking or that sticks out in my mind. But there was lots of 3 or 4 week stretches there where it's like, boy, it got old in a hurry. So just had to practice more and kind of work your way through it.
Kind of going off the sheet here, was there something that you didn't accomplish on tour that you wish you had?
There again, very good question. I'm not an ego-driven person. I didn't have certain things that I had to accomplish. I just, I was married at a young age, and we started having a family early on, and it was more of a job. I just had to, make money for my family. So, no, looking back, you always wish you could have won some of the bigger tournaments maybe that you did, but I was very fortunate. I wouldn't have traded my career for anything in the world. I could have done better, but I could have done a whole lot worse too. But, I was just fortunate to have good support from my family and my wife, and that helped tremendously.
Absolutely. Who do you feel like you beat up on tour or on TV or in match play? Like,
oh boy.
Yeah.
I didn't bowl Walter Ray that much on TV, but I had good luck against Walter Ray. I think I beat him a couple times on TV, but for some reason I had had good luck with Walter Ray just because you knew you had to bowl a really good game against him because he was so darn good. He still is good, but maybe the best ever. Who knows? But
right.
But I was fortunate enough to bowl Earl a little bit. I had some good fortune against Earl as well, but probably Walter Ray. It seemed like that was always one that sticks out.
You beat him in Erie 225 to 202 in 92.
Yes, sir.
If I was to give you $10,000 right now, which obviously I'm not going to, and I don't have that money, but you have to. The caveat is you have to tell me who you think the greatest of all time was. Who do you think it is?
Whew. I was out a little bit when Earl was still close to his prime a little bit, early 80s. I mean, he was still dominating. I mean, boy, I was there when Roth was bowling really good, or Marshall, Albee. Man, to me, it's got to be Earl or Walter Ray. That's a good question. I mean, I don't.
No,
it's a hard one to answer, but those are my two that I think are kind of head and shoulders above everyone else.
So, and I know that this is your episode, but I'll tell you that I say it's Walter, and the reason I say it's Walter for me, when I look at these guys on tour, like I started watching the tour when probably around 91, 90, 91.
Sure.
And like I said, your telecast in Erie was the first one that I can memorize almost by heart. Walter Ray never left. And you look at guys like Westlake, McDowell. I mean, some of these players, Traber, that were okay in the 90s and 2000s, but they left the tour. Walter never left.
Right.
But
no,
and I say that not that leaving the tour. I mean, everybody leaves the tour, but I mean, he's going through every ball manufacturer, resin or type, resin, rubber, whatever.
Yeah. He went through all the eras. He started when they didn't have reactive resin and urethane reactive resin, everything now. But that's a pretty good benchmark when you can make it through all those big changes in the game and still be kind of come out on top no matter what. That kind of, I think, proves to you that no matter what era he bowled in, both of those gentlemen, Earl or Walter Ray, it doesn't matter what kind of balls there was or lane conditions. They were still gonna do what they're gonna do. Their talent was unmatched, and they both were just phenomenal players.
What was your favorite ball era?
I really liked the yellow dots, back when I was really young, but yellow dots and urethane was probably, they all were fine, but probably early on yellow dots, plastic, or late 70s and then into the 80s when urethane hit. Probably looking back was probably the funnest for me. But I just enjoyed the competition. You just had to, like any other sport, you just had to learn to deal with equipment changes and so forth. And I think that what proved to longevity would prove to how good you really were in the long run.
So, and we might talk about it, but how cool was it to bowl? I think your last telecast was the 2000. I can't believe it's 24 years ago. The 2000 Tournament of Champions, that 8 bowler field. How cool was that to bowl something like that?
Yeah, I mean, they're all cool. I think my last telecast, actually, it might have been 2004, the senior doubles.
Oh, okay.
I was partnered up with qualified, and Pete Couture was the late Pete Couture was my partner, who was a phenomenal bowler. I mean, just unbelievable how good he was. But anyway, we beat Robert Smith and Bob Glass, and I think that was my last one in 2004.
Was that 04 or was that 2000?
I thought it was 04. It might have been. You might be right, but you probably are right. But yeah, a long time ago, but bowling that with the seniors in that format was awesome. A lot of guys that you bowled with earlier on, now they were over 50, and I bowled a lot against Pete Couture when I was on the tour growing up, and I watched he and guys like Couture, Tommy Hudson, Pappas,
Yep.
all those kind of guys. I kind of learned a lot from watching those guys.
Mm-hmm.
I'd come in and watch them bowl match play at night, and learn a lot by just watching them. So, but Pete was he was an unbelievable competitor, and just a phenomenal bowler as well.
So, okay. Who do you think who had your number on TV or in match play?
It seemed like a lot of people. Well, I bowled Ferraro a lot in match play, and he seemed like he always got me. Westlake was another one. He seemed like he always beat me. Albee, I didn't have the greatest luck against Mike Albee. There was a lot of them, but we were fortunate back when I bowled, we had a lot more tournaments. There was 36 weeks out of the year that we bowled. So
yep.
It was a little bit different situation, but there was so much good talent out there. If you just weren't on your game, you were going to just get your lunch handed to you. So you had to be on top of your game at all time. And if you weren't, you got your butt beat.
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask you this question, then we'll check out the chat. Randy Peterson said that you were one of the 3 best to ever play the inside line. And I cannot remember who else he said, but why are you so good at playing in?
Well, for one, I wasn't afraid to get way in and try it. But I think the key to me, and of course the game has changed some now, but I never truly tried to hook it from way inside. I still tried to keep the ball fairly tight or on line,
right,
or fall it back a little bit if I could. But I think the biggest thing was, and when we bowled, Derek, as you well know, they only did the lanes once a day. So by this your second round, you were going to play in, and if you bowled the late squad, if you were on B squad, you were going to be way in at night. So, I just came to a realization, I got to learn how to play in, because I'm going to be there all the time, just about. So, that being said, I did something. I always look way down the lane too. When I played inside, it looked like at 48, 50 feet, it helped me get the ball down the lane. I was fortunate enough to be able to change my loft a little bit, so I could get the ball out on the lane and kind of get over the head area when they were really fried up and burnt. So, but the main thing is I just wasn't afraid to get in there and try different hand positions and a few different things. But I really enjoyed playing in, because it was a kind of a unique angle, and that not everybody could do it at a high level.
So Adam wants to know, what was it like to bowl with Mark Roth and Pete Weber?
Well, bowling with Roth was a treat, because he just didn't want to beat you. He wanted to put his foot on your neck and really beat you. So he just didn't want to beat you by 20. He wanted to beat you by 40, 50, or 60. And he did a lot of times. But Mark was a great competitor, and really, changed the game a lot with his style and his release. Pete Weber, maybe one of the most gifted bowlers ever. He still bowls great. He's been at it for 40 years, or a little over 40 years. He was talented from everywhere, playing the gutter, right up the gutter to 5th, 6th arrow. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's proven by how long he's bowled at a high level. But bowling with those 2 guys, it was a treat. And looking back, being able to do that, it was phenomenal, because I roomed with Mark a little bit over the years, and he was a great friend until he passed. And Pete and I have had some battles, on the lanes, and he's a great person too off the lane. So it was a blast bowling against those guys.
Yeah. So Kamari is asking a question that we're going to get to. He watches the podcast, so we'll get to those 2 questions. The talking about the rules and stuff like that. But he also says Walter Ray Williams Jr. bowls on the PBA 50 tour. I know, because I saw a couple videos on YouTube. He says, did you ever bowl the PBA 50, or you have any aspirations?
No, I'm 63 now. I'm getting up there, but I still bowl a little bit. But I don't bowl at a real high level. I don't think so. I don't practice, but no, I just never did have much of an inkling to do it. I did it for 25 years on the main tour,
Mm-hmm.
and then bought a bowling center about 20-30 minutes from where we are here in Milwaukee, over in Washington, just across the river up north.
Mm-hmm.
A 24-lane center up there. So it took a lot of my time to run the bowling centers and raise our family. So I just never had that inkling to go out on the senior tour. I did it for so long with those guys. I miss the guys. Don't get me wrong. I miss the competition, but I was just kind of over the professional part of the competition and never gave it a shot.
Sure. So I'll give you a chance to your bowling centers. They have anything big going on, or that you want to get out, or?
Yeah, I mean we've hosted a regional at Milwaukee Bowl for I think 42 years now. I think we're the longest running regional tournament that's being hosted. We also host the Portland Masters tournament that I run. It's a big tournament that has 144 entries. It's a double elimination tournament, just kind of like the National Masters.
Mm-hmm.
Takes 2 weekends, so we're proud of that tournament. But just lots of smaller tournaments. We have a good high school program, junior program. We just want to give our serious bowlers a chance to shine and do all we can to help them do that with lane conditions and equipment and so forth. So even though we do a good recreational business, we do have a lot of league business as well.
Mm-hmm.
But we just try to help our bowlers the best we can and go from there.
Yeah, and speaking of bowling centers, I mean, when I first started doing this podcast, I was either my fridge was behind me because I didn't really have a backdrop, or when I was in Florida, I was in the garage. But my backdrop, my picture is a picture of my home lanes, Family Fun Lanes, Bangor, Maine.
Nice.
Absolutely. So let's see. Let's get into another one. What's the PBA title that means the most to you?
Well, I mean, the U.S. Open, just because of that, but it would either be the U.S. Open or the Tournament of Champions, because those are probably two of the toughest fields. But being able to win the Open 3 times, I liked the World Open was fun because there was always international players there from around the world. But I'd have to go with the U.S. Open, not just because I won it, but just because of what it means.
All right. So in '95, you're bowling on, I think, HPL synthetics in the arena.
Yep.
And then in '96, you're on the Brunswick surface. What is more challenging? What's the difference? Is one harder than the other? And I mean harder physically, like not more difficult, but I guess we could say more difficult, but is one harder or softer than the other, or what? And which one is which?
Yeah, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the HPLs are a little softer. They're a little closer to wood. Okay. If I'm not mistaken, the Pro Anvil lane is a little harder surface. Yep. So that's probably two of the main differences. But the big thing is how they're dressed. How the oil pattern's put down. Both of those arena settings. In all honesty, the lanes got to where they were pretty nice, pretty easy for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I was just happened not to make a whole lot of mistakes there, but bowling in the arena setting is a little different. The ceilings are higher, the walls are farther apart. There's a lot more folks there. Mm-hmm. It's just a little different to get used to. And I was a little disappointed when the first one in Detroit, because we bowled in a bowling center, and I happened to lead that tournament, I believe, and I didn't ever lead a whole lot. Now I have to go to a brand new place where I didn't think I maybe have an advantage like I did at the bowling center. But everything worked out okay. But that setting, the arena setting, is really something, and it was definitely a memory I'll never forget. That's for sure.
Definitely. Now if I remember right, you're pretty emotional. Were you ever worried about running out of shot and falling off the approach in the arena?
No, I never really worried about that. And I never, I don't think anybody ever plans it. You just get caught up, like you said, Derek, in the moment and the emotion of things. But no, I never worried about it. We were up a little bit off the ground, 3 or 4 feet, but it never was a worry.
Okay. All right. So let's see here. What excuse me, what is your favorite PBA tour stop? Or what was?
Oh, my favorite. I really like Tucson. I had good luck there for one reason, but we stayed at a place where we were right on a golf course, and I like to play golf, so we got to play a lot of golf. It was in the summer, obviously, but that was really always a fun place. The Tucson event there at Golden Pin Lanes in Tucson. And I always like bowling the tournament champions. I just something about that tournament. There was more media there, and it was all champions. It was kind of just we had a nice champions dinner and Hall of Fame ceremony there for years. So that was obviously another really fun tournament to participate in.
Now, Golden Pin, did it matter the lane surface for you? I mean, obviously in the early years it was wood, and then they changed to synthetic, I believe, in the mid '90s. Did that matter?
Yeah, no, I loved it when they were. I had good luck there for whatever reason, and I really bowled good on the wood lanes there. They're again just matched up with the lanes there, and it just seemed like no matter how the scoring pace was or how the lanes were, I felt really comfortable there, and really had a good look always.
Sure.
Yeah.
So what was your least favorite tour stop? And I guess I don't mean like didn't enjoy going, but like where did you kind of struggle at?
I never had good luck in Baltimore for whatever reason. I have nothing against Baltimore, but I think a little bit had to do with it was always towards the end of the tour segment, and I didn't take a lot of time off at times, so I think maybe a lot of it was fatigue. But I just never had very very good luck in Baltimore. That's really
okay.
And like I said, it wasn't like I didn't like going there. I just didn't have good luck there for whatever reason.
Where did the PBA never go that you wish they had gone?
Oh, that's a good question. Never really thought about that much. Gosh, we went all over the place. Well, they used to go to North Dakota. I have some. My mom was from North Dakota, so I had some family of North Dakota. That would have been fun. But boy, we got up to the Northeast a little bit at times. I bowled in Rhode Island, and I have a sister-in-law that lives in Maine, so I got up there every once in a while.
Really?
Yeah.
What part?
She's lived in Portland and Yarmouth, both.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm in Orono.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I'm about 2 hours away from you.
Yeah, she's a school teacher up there. Andrea is her name, but yeah. So I don't know. We went so many places. About the only place we didn't really bowl was South Dakota, Wyoming.
Yep.
I mean, off the top of my head, but
sure.
But I don't know, anywhere. It was just fun to travel. We were fortunate to be able to travel and see a lot of interesting sights. But that would have been fun to spend some time in Wyoming. Probably, it looks beautiful.
Yeah, Adam Lemmeries is going to jump here in a second because I'm going to say this. I think we should get a petition going to sign that will make you PBA league eligible so you can bowl at Bayside.
Man, that place looks like it's a great venue, Derek. It really looks awesome.
Would that distract you if there was a title on the line? Let's say the Pine Tree State Classic was at Bayside Bowl at Bayside, or whatever. And, would that distract you if it was that? Because I know the PBA used to, let the fans cheer while you guys are throwing your shots, but I don't think it was ever as loud as Portland. Would that ever distract you if you were going for a title?
Well, I think you got to learn to deal with it. Some places were louder than others, but there again, you just had to trust your training and your practice, and just kind of tune that stuff out a little bit, if you will. But that boy, watching that Bayside and talking to my best friend Mark Baker a little bit, who's one of the managers, he says that the venue is just phenomenal, and it sure looks that way on TV.
Man, if you ever come as a fan, the first beer's on me. I tell you what.
Okay.
Absolutely. Adam, he jumped right in and said, "You read my mind, Derek, about Bayside." Kamari says your style reminds him of Mika Koivuniemi. I think I'm like one of very few people who can pronounce his last name, but
Yep.
would you say, I mean, so if I was to describe your style, you kind of you do hold it straight, but you kind of flatten your hand a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of basic 5-step approach. I had a really long high swing, and I
Right.
never did it on purpose. It just happened.
Sure.
Have longer levers and create some decent ball speed, but maybe in comparison with Mika, because maybe he's really tall. I think he's 6'4" or 6'5", and I'm a little over 6'1", almost 6'2". So
Okay.
both had kind of long swings and project the ball a long way, but yeah, be compared to him doesn't hurt my feelings at all. He was a hell of a player.
Yeah, he was. All right, so going off the sheet again, these pros, these Hall of Famers have oil patterns named after them.
Yep.
All right. So if somebody was to introduce the Dave Husted pattern and let you design it, length, volume, what are we talking about? What are we looking at for a pattern, Dave?
Oh man, that's a good question there too. I don't know. I always preferred shot making patterns, and I don't know the best way to describe that, but something a little bit of probably along the flatter side. Not doesn't have to be 1-to-1 like U.S. Opens, but
sure.
But something a little bit on the flatter side, maybe kind of medium to longer length. For obvious reason, probably force everybody in after a while, but definitely if we could come up with some kind of a shot maker's pattern, I would enjoy that.
So how are you with playing outside, like 1, 2, 3? Can you do it, or do you not like it? Is it torture for you?
Well, I never really played it much before I went on tour, and I kind of learned how to play it. We never really got to play the gutter a lot. And,
right.
I definitely wasn't an Ozio or a Duke or a Billy Young or the guys that really played the gutter there, or Tony Westlake or Ferraro. But I didn't mind playing outside, to be honest with you. It was hard for me to play one, lay it right on 1-2 because I drifted a little bit left. But I liked playing outside. Your carry was almost always better, and a lot of people couldn't. But I made a couple shows playing out, and I enjoyed it. We just didn't really play out that much.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I never saw you play out. I've never seen you. I've seen you bowl quite a bit, and I've never seen you actually play out. So that's why.
Yeah, I think the tournament I won in Tucson, I think that was the late '80s or early '90s, whenever that was. I was playing out, not way out, but probably like 5-6.
Okay.
And off the top of my head, I think Windsor Locks one year we were playing out outside of 5 just a little bit. So, like I said, it wasn't a lot, but there was a few turns. There's a lot of times where the lanes were set up out, and of course I didn't make the show from out, but I liked playing out. To be honest with you, I didn't have any problems with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you have no excuse now. Adam said the second beer is on him if you come to Bayside. Kamari, let me know if I'm pronouncing your name right. He wants to know. He says he has the red 13-pound Ebonite Turbo R. He wants to know if you've seen that ball in your life. I'm sure you have.
Yeah, there was a kind of a lime green Turbo R. There was a purple or violet Turbo R and a red one. There probably was one I'm missing, but Brian Goebel used those balls a lot and bowled extremely well with them. But yeah, the Turbo R was a good piece of equipment. Mm-hmm. R being for reactive, so it was the reactive resin era. You bet.
Yeah. When did you leave the tour and why?
Well, I cut way back in the when was it? The mid 90s, I guess it was. My daughter was born Chelsea in 92 or 91.
Mm-hmm.
And I cut back till only bowling about 14 to 16 tournaments a year, about half. And then in the early 2000s, I was in my early 40s, kids are growing up. and it was just time for me to kind of move on. I still enjoyed the bowling, but I was past my prime. There's no problem with me saying that, and it becoming a younger man's game a little bit, but it was just time for me to move on and get in the bowling business and go from there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
And that's awesome. And actually, we're breaking it here. He's going back on tour as a left-hander, so we can get 14 titles with both hands. Let's make that happen, Dave. Come on, we're begging you here, buddy. What is let me ask you this: when you won the U.S. Open, you were kind of part-time at that point, weren't you? In 95, 96?
Yeah, I started to slow down right about that time. That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. I was fortunate, there again, the things, I happened to be bowling well at the right time and made some good choices and got a lot of good breaks and things went well for me on TV in those arena settings. But I was very fortunate to win those.
Yeah. So when I started this podcast and I created these episodes, like when I was gonna interview Parker, I know these guys, I know you guys, so sure. I know how to have a conversation with you guys, but to do a podcast like this, I don't want to just, go off my head. So I wrote these questions down. I ask everybody these questions because when it's like, geez, what do I ask Parker? I don't know what, so that's why, a lot of these are the same questions, but what's a PBA rule that you agree with? Kamari wants to know. I want to know. PBA rule that you're like, yeah, that's a good rule or whatever.
Oh boy, they've changed a lot over the years. That's a good question. Oh boy.
You can use your era, whatever you want.
Yeah, all the rules are in place for a reason. They're to protect the game and the bowler both. I can't really think of anything.
Sure.
We only were allowed 8 balls in the bowling center. That was, I think, a good rule because people could get really, really tied up in getting, 15, 20 bowling balls in the locker room at one time. That's just not fair for everybody. Boy, that's a really good question. I don't think there was any earth-shattering developments while I bowled. It was just kind of business as usual. But, the USBC rules were, we weren't governed by them, but we'd use them as a baseline. And the re-rack rule was a good rule. You didn't want guys pressing the button on bad racks all the time in qualifying. You got a couple, and after that, you had to ask for a re-rack. So that helped speed up the pace of play a little bit. But just kind of the normal stuff, I guess. I never, for one, I don't think anybody really has that problem with the rules. The rules are the same that we have in bowling today for the most part. So pretty straightforward there.
So when you have, you say 8 balls, you're only allowed 8 balls in the entire building.
Yes.
Or in the paddock.
In the paddock, yeah. You could have more on the truck,
right?
And I think that still holds true today. I mean, obviously, you have to pay for that space, but yeah, it was only 8 balls in their locker room, and if you drilled an extra one, then you had to take one out, that kind of thing. So, and it's usually a lot of it's because of space and safety. You got a bunch of loose bowling balls rolling around or up on a shelf or something, and something falls off and hit somebody in the foot or toe or whatever, you could do some serious damage. But and you got to respect everybody else, the other players in there too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the coolest things I've ever experienced, I bowled the 1999 World Special Olympics in North Carolina in Raleigh at AMF Pleasant Valley Bowling Center. And one of the things that they had us do is they had us check our ball and do I was shocked that they had this, because I knew about that rule.
Right.
I think I've seen that before, but I was shocked that they had that do that for Special Olympics. But have you ever had a ball disqualified or what?
I had a ball. It was way back. It was on the fall tour. I had a ball that was too soft. The softness rule was in effect, and balls couldn't be below 75, and my ball never got above 75 after I used it. So it was a weird deal because I used the ball 2 weeks prior, and it never had a problem. But so we just had to throw the ball out, and I wasn't disqualified or anything. But I have had a ball not make it on hardness once, many, many years ago. Yep.
Now I got to be honest. Can you explain soft and hard when it comes to that stuff?
Yeah, there is an instrument called the durometer scale, I'm sorry, and it was a handheld. They had a handheld one, and then they had one with a mechanism, and it had a little needle on it, and it would go into the ball and it would check the hardness, and everything had to be 72 or above at that time, and sometimes when the balls were used or the weather was hot, the temperature would fluctuate, especially in the summers. The balls can dip down below that baseline of 72 or 75 later. And you had to just be aware of that. And that was part of knowing your equipment. And you didn't want to go too soft because you could get the ball thrown out. And I think after the second time, then they could disqualify you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know you talked about the rules, and you said that rules are rules for a reason, but there's got to be a rule that you just are like, this rule is very stupid. What's a PBA rule you disagree with?
I just can't remember anything that sticks out in my mind, because there really wasn't anything that I could remember off the top of my head that would fall into that category.
So,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I just,
so
I can't think of anything, Derek, off the top of my head. Sorry.
No, that's not a problem. Not a problem. I'm not trying to be a pest. Is there a rule that wasn't a rule that should have been a rule?
There again, I probably should know something
that's all right. No, that's all right.
But
like I said, when I create these, it's all like, yeah. So, all right. So now we that's the regular questions. Now what I do is we do a thing called going flush in the pocket. When was the last time you bowled 300, Dave?
I had a 300 last league season. It was let's see, it was early in the league season. I think it was in October of 23.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I mean, when you bowl 300, I'm sure it's kind of stressful. It's kind of like you get nervous. Well,
sure.
You're going to bowl 300 tonight, and you're just going to use your voice and just answer some fun questions. We're going flush in the pocket, 12 strikes, and we're going to start. What is your favorite food?
Favorite food would probably be steak.
Are you like everybody else in America, medium rare, or medium well? How do you take your steak?
I am medium. I prefer medium. I'll eat it just about anywhere, but I will prefer it medium.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Favorite music?
I like, for the most part, all genres, but 70s rock and roll is really good. I like all music, though. Easy listening. I mean, country, I like it all.
All
I
right.
really do. Yep.
Check out my country station right here. Today's Hot Country B105.
Okay.
All right. All right. So let's see. Let's get number 3. So what did you do? I know are you still a proprietor? You're still a proprietor right now?
Yeah. I have 2 centers. Yep.
Okay. What do you do either back on tour or now to take your mind completely off of bowling?
Oh, sorry, my dogs are
barking. You're good.
Sorry.
You are phenomenal.
Take my line out. Well, basically get away from the bowling center a little bit, spend time with the family, maybe go out, play a round of golf, do some fishing.
Yeah.
But anything to that gets me away from the bowling center.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Favorite vacation spot?
Got to be Hawaii with my wife and family.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Let's see. Favorite toy as a child?
Any kind of sports ball, basketball, football, baseball, soccer ball, you name it. But mostly basketball. I played a lot of basketball in high school, but anything that had to do with the ball, I was all for it.
There you go.
Yeah.
What are you binge watching right now?
Good question. I don't binge watch a lot. During the pandemic, it was Ozarks.
Ozarks? Yeah.
Yep. During the pandemic. I really haven't binge watched anything for a while, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I know there's some stuff, some streaming stuff we were talking about looking at, but nothing lately.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
If you're absolutely dying of thirst, you just give me something to drink. I'm dying here. What is your go-to beverage?
Got to be Coca-Cola.
Oh, God. I'm one of the rare people that I can drink Coke and Pepsi.
I like them both. Don't get me wrong. But if I have my choice, it would be Coke.
Yeah.
I sell Pepsi products in the bowling centers. But if I had my druthers, it would always be Coke.
There you go.
Yep.
Regular Coke, I'm assuming?
Yep.
There you go, buddy. There you go. What is something that you're a fan of that people would be surprised by?
Something I'm a fan of.
Let me give you an example.
Okay.
If you were to hang out with me, talk to me for a little bit, you wouldn't probably figure out that I'm a big fan of the Bachelor franchise.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I don't know, maybe the true crime, if you got to know me, you might understand that, but I am an absolute fan of the Bachelor franchise and Big Brother and all that stuff. But what is something that you're a fan of that people are like, wow, I didn't see that coming?
Well, let's see here. That is a very good question as well. I'm a pretty easygoing guy, but something that I'm a fan of. That's a very good question. You stumped me, sir.
I stumped Pro Bowlers enough; they won't come on the podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
That people would be surprised about. I don't know.
I've never asked that question.
Yeah, I don't know. I just I like to try to help people the best I can.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people do, but and I'm a person that if I do help somebody in some small way, I don't really want people to know that I do that.
Sure.
I just I want to know that it one, it needs to be done, and two, it makes me feel good that I'm helping someone out. But I don't have any real.
Are you the type of person that if you like, and this happened to me, I don't know, a few years ago, are you the type of person you might go into a restaurant and you might just pay somebody's tab? Hey, listen, please don't let them know that I did this, but let them know that their tab is all set.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, let me change it up. Do you have any guilty pleasures? No?
Oh, desserts late at night. Oh yeah.
Okay. Right.
Ice cream at night. I'm a big ice cream guy.
What's your flavor?
Sauce. I like all, but I like chocolate peanut butter. I'm on that kick right now. Mint chocolate chip, cookies and cream, just your basics, vanilla, of course.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not into any of the exotic flavors, but
sure.
I am an ice cream guy.
Yeah, good. You'll have to fight Parker for the mint chocolate chip, I think. I mean, he might all right. So, favorite sports moment as a fan?
Probably 1977 when the Portland Trailblazers won the world championship.
Okay.
Yep.
What's your least favorite moment as a sports fan?
One of them when our college team, the Oregon Ducks, lost to Auburn in the national championship game at the Fiesta Bowl in Phoenix. That was like, I don't know, it's probably close to 10 years ago now, whatever it was. That was disappointing. We thought we were really going to win that game, and we're a big fan. My dad was an Oregon Duck, and we love the Ducks and around here. And it was a big letdown, but it was a hell of a game.
Sure. If you could spend some time, have dinner with 3 people living or past, who would they be?
Well, one would be my mother, who we lost 6 years ago.
Sorry for your loss.
Thank you. Another one probably, that's another good one. Probably another dinner with Mark Roth would be pretty special.
Yeah.
Earl would be special too. And yeah, I mean, that's a good one. I lost a good friend to cancer, and he was fairly young in the mid 80s. His name was Kermit. He'd be one I'd want to spend some time with also.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Let me, just out of curiosity, where were you when you found out that Earl Anthony, Dick Weber, and Mark Roth passed away? What was your reactions?
Oh, it was unbelievable. It was terrible. When Earl, off the top of my head, I remember exactly where I was. We're at our regional at Milwaukee. It was in August, and Ernie got a call from his wife Catherine, who was really good friends with Earl's wife Susie.
Yep.
And she took the call, and they were talking in the concourse, and I could tell something serious happened, and they both rushed out and then came back 10-15 minutes later, and Ernie told me. So yeah, that was, and it's hard to believe. I believe, Derek, that was a little over 20 years ago now.
I can tell you, I don't know exactly when it was, but I know exactly where I was when I found out that Earl passed. I was watching Sports Center or something like that, and all of a sudden they're talking about Earl Anthony. I'm like, oh no, what's going on? Because they unfortunately never talk about bowling. Why would they talk about Earl Anthony, right?
You're right.
So then all of a sudden I'm like, they're showing his senior and they're saying that he died, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah,
that was terrible. And
yeah. Dick, when Weber passed away, Dick, I just kind of heard it through the grapevine a little bit.
Mm.
And when Mark passed away, I got a call from Marshall saying that he said, I want you to hear from me that, it is true that Mark had passed. So, yeah, tough time and big losses to our industry. I mean, just unbelievable people, but and then we lost another great one in Mr. Chrisman from Storm. That was very unexpected, and a huge loss in the industry. I think sometimes, Derek, as we get older and we think back, we don't realize how important some of these people are until they're gone.
Right.
And I think, you can say that about Mark and Dick and Earl, but what Mr. Chrisman has done for our sport, he and his company Storm, people don't realize how much they've done, and they'll do fine. Don't get me wrong, but that's a tough one, because he is a phenomenal person to the bowling industry.
Yep.
Yep.
I gotta share I met Mark Roth once, and I know Mark Roth had a lot of fans. And I think he had a lot of people who didn't like him as well, which is unfortunate.
Could be.
But I'm somebody that I bowl in shorts. If I'm in a bowling center, I've got my name on the back of my shirt and I'm wearing a pair of shorts.
Right.
And so I met him I saw him April 2nd of 2016. He says, a little cool for you to be wearing shorts, isn't it? I'm like, yeah. But I thought that was a cool Mark Roth moment. And he was a Superman. And my only thought, I hate to say this, Dave, my only thought when he passed is at least he's not suffering anymore, because, man, he went through a whirlwind of stuff when he started having his strokes. They just one right after another. It was just
you're
awful.
Exactly right. That's tough, and you don't want any of your closest friends or loved ones to have to go through that. And it's hard to say, but it's a blessing. But he wasn't suffering anymore, and he did. He had a lot of tough times there the last couple of years of his life, and it's too bad. But what an impact and footprint he left on our game. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah. Adam said he met him in 2019 at Bayside. He was incredible. Of course it was. Just for fun, I want to throw in a couple more. What is the smartest and dumbest thing you've ever done, Dave?
Smartest thing I ever done is marry my wife, Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of dumb things. I've made dumb investments and that kind of thing. But definitely the smartest thing I ever done is marry my wife, Michelle.
That's awesome. Yeah, that is really cool. When you leave this earth in 1,000 years, Dave, how do you want to be remembered?
Oh, I just want to be remembered as just a good person.
Absolutely.
Someone that was fair, somebody that was honest, hopefully had a lot of integrity. And if I can do that, I think hopefully I can leave the world a little better than I remember it or found it. That'd be just fine with me.
Yeah. I mean, from what I've seen from you, and I mean, talking to you, I mean, you're just the nicest. But when I've seen you compete, you're always just a gentleman. I mean, I'm assuming you've won the Steve Nagy Award a couple times, or
I did. Yep, I was fortunate to win that a few times, but I just looking back, good parenting. I just try to treat people like how I'd like to be treated. It's pretty simple. That's my mom always said. So it's something we try to instill in our kids, and I think that's pretty easy and simple rule to live by.
Absolutely, bud. Well, Dave, thank you so much for coming on and doing this. That was Flush in the Pocket with Dave Husted. Man, keep in touch. I know I'm friends with you and Michelle on Facebook and, whatever. And I'd, love to, when I started this, I was like, geez, I'd love to either get a friendship with these guys or just have a little bit of fun with them for an hour. And I really appreciate your time. And you were definitely a hero to me. And thank you for all you've done.
Derek, thank you. And you're doing an excellent job, my friend.
Thank you, Dave.
Anytime I could help you in any way, just don't feel like you can't reach out. Reach out anytime. We'll be happy to help you.
Thanks, buddy. You have a great day and Happy New Year.
Thank you. You too, Derek. Appreciate it.
All right, buddy.
Take care. You bet.
That's Dave Husted. So that was awesome. And what a great guy. Thank you so much, Dave, for coming on. And our next guest, I'm not sure. I'll be on location for a little while after this. I'm leaving Saturday, but hey, Flush in the Pocket will still be going strong in 2024. So that was Flush in the Pocket. Thank you, everybody, for contributing. And I hope you enjoy your night and have a nice 2024 until we talk again.